Good morning, dear students. Welcome back again with the second lesson of Science 2. In the previous class, we have already discussed about how do we get energy by aerobic respiration. And now we are going to discuss about energy through anaerobic respiration. The name itself suggests aerobic means respiration taking place in the presence of oxygen, and anaerobic is respiration in the absence of oxygen. Anaerobic generally takes place in the lower animals which require very less amount of energy to carry out the daily work. Anaerobic respiration. Energy production through anaerobic respiration. Many bacteria cannot live in the presence of oxygen and hence they perform anaerobic respiration for energy production. Now, steps involved in anaerobic respiration. First step is glycolysis. What happens in glycolysis? Incomplete oxidation of glucose to produce pyruvic acid. In the previous class, we have discussed about aerobic respiration, how glucose is converted into Pa. Pa implies pyruvic acid. Same way here also, it is converted into pyruvic acid. First step is same. So in glycolysis, incomplete oxidation of glucose to produce pyruvic acid. Further, fermentation. Fermentation is a simple process of, you can call it as digestion, conversion of complex food or complex process into simple one. So here, pyruvic acid produced by glycolysis is converted into organic acids or alcohol, and a very less amount of energy is being required or produced in order to carry out the work. Now, energy from the different components. We get energy from three different sources: carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Now, each of this gives us energy in different forms. Apart from this, other essential nutrients which are required for us is vitamins are required, as well as minerals and water are required. So we are going to discuss in short about what are these, how these requirements are being satisfied, and how do we get, or how it is being useful for us. Energy from different food components. First one, proteins. Macromolecules. Macromolecule implies very big molecules which can be seen with your naked eyes. Macromolecules formed by joining together many amino acids. So proteins are formed by joining many of the amino acids. Proteins of animal origin, they are called as first class proteins. So animal is the best source, or we can say easy source to get proteins. Energy yield per gram of protein is 4 kilocalorie. 1 kilocalorie implies 1000 calories, so 4 kilocalorie implies 4000 calorie. Digestion of protein gets converted into amino acids. Then amino acids absorbed in our body and are transported to each and every organ and cell via blood, and thus this protein in the form of amino acid is reached to each and every part of our body, and thus we get energy through proteins. Further, another source of energy apart from protein, that is lipids, or we call it as fats. They are the substance formed by specific chemical bond between fatty acids and alcohol. Lipids after digestion gives fatty acids plus alcohol. Then phospholipids, how they are useful? They are essential for producing various. Sorry, they are useful in producing plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is outer covering of the cell, which are obtained from the fatty acids. Then fatty acids are all used for producing hormones like progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, and aldosterone. Now, these are hormones which are reproductive hormones which are responsible to increase our progeny. Without these hormones, reproduction is not possible. To gain a secondary sexual character is not possible without these hormones. So you can imagine now the importance of fats in our body. They are also useful for producing the covering around the axon of the nerve cells. Not only for the nerve cells, they are covering for nerve cells. They prevent us from getting shocked. Even the delicate organs are being protected by the layer of the fat, so that by jumping, playing, we can be protected from getting any mechanical shock. And even these nerves are also being protected by the layer of the fats. Energy yield per gram of lipid is 9 kilocalorie. Comparatively, carbohydrates and proteins they give 4 kilocalorie per gram, whereas in case of fat it is 9 kilocalorie, maximum yield of energy. Then another important nutrients is vitamins. We also call as vital amines. Vital amines implies very important amines. They are present in traces, very important for the development. So therefore, they are called as vitamins or vital amines or important amines. Now, vitamins or vitamins are divided into two types: water soluble vitamins and fat soluble vitamins. Water soluble implies it can be easily excreted through urine. Fat soluble vitamins remains in our body for a longer time. Water soluble vitamins are vitamin B and vitamin C, and fat soluble vitamins are vitamin A, D, E, K. They are a group of heterogeneous compounds essential for the proper operation of various body process. Vitamins are divided into water soluble vitamins, which is nothing but vitamin B and C, fat soluble vitamins, that is nothing but vitamins A, D, E, and K. Another important nutrients which are essential for our body is water. 70 to 75% of our body is made up of water. So you can imagine the importance of water in our body. Human body consists of 65 to 70% water. Each cell contains 70% of water by volume. Blood plasma contains 90% of water. Water is an essential nutrient as functioning of cells, and thereby whole body is disturbed even if there is a little loss of water from our body. And another important is fiber, which are responsible for the removal of waste material from our body. Therefore, fiber also plays an important role. They help in the process of digestion of the substances and digestion of undigested substance. The sources of fibers are leafy vegetables, fruits, cereals, etc. And now the important part of this lesson is cell division. Now, cell division is carried out in two forms: mitosis and meiosis. In mitosis, four stages are there. First of all, mitosis is divided into two parts: karyokinesis and cytokinesis. Karyokinesis implies nuclear division, cytokinesis implies cell division. And then comes as meiosis. Meiosis is again divided into two parts: meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Here in this lesson, we are going to deal more with mitosis. Cell division, mitosis, meiosis. Mitosis occurs in somatic cells and stem cells, whereas meiosis occurs in germ cell. The mitosis is divided into two stages: karyokinesis and cytokinesis. Already, as I've said, karyokinesis implies nuclear division. In the nuclear division, four stages are the prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Whereas in cytokinesis, only one stage. Here, one cell is divided into two cells. And therefore, it is called as cytokinesis or cell division. Whereas in case of mitosis occurs in germ cell, is divided into two parts or two stages: meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 2 is as same as mitosis. The process is same somewhat, but the name is given as different here. Here prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1 and telophase 1. Whereas in case of meiosis 2, each stage is represented by step 2. Now we'll go through each stages individually, separately, in a detail. Karyokinesis or nuclear division. First step, prophase. What happens in the prophase stage? Condensation, darkening, thickening takes place. Condensation of thin thread-like chromosomes. You can see the chromosomes are seen very much clearly here. Then chromosomes become short and thick and appear as a pair of sister chromosome. You can see they are appearing in pairs here and here and here. Then centriole duplicate and move to opposite directions. You can see a centriole, one centriole here, one centriole here. They are moving in the opposite direction and they are on the verge. That nuclear wall, or you can say the outer covering of nuclear plasm, they are on the verge to get disappear. Nuclear membranes start disappearing. This is the first stage. We call it as prophase. First phase stage. Then second one is metaphase. Here in this stage, you can see the diagram here. Nuclear membrane disappear completely. No inner covering is there like it was there in the previous diagram. So here nuclear membrane is completely disappear. Then chromosome condensation is completed. Chromosomes, they become very much clear and they start getting it darker and thicker. The chromosomes at equator and the spindle fibers are absorbed at the centromere. You can see a spindle fibers are there and it is attached at the centromere of the chromosomes. Then second last stage of this phase, that is anaphase. In this, condensation takes place, splitting of the chromosomes takes place of sister chromatids and they get separate and move in the opposite direction. You can see the spindle fibers, they are reaching in the opposite poles. The diagram gives clear indication about the explanation. And the last stage of this one, that is telophase, that is cytokinesis, that is cell division is taking place here. The diagram shows there it divides into two different cells. What happens here? It is just the reverse of the prophase. Whatever stages happen in the prophase, just opposite will happen here in the telophase. Then cytokinesis. In cytokinesis, cytoplasm divides and two new cells are formed called as daughter cells. And the last part of this is meiosis. Here in the textbook it is not given clearly, but I will try to show you an explanation of this with the help of the picture. I will give it to you later on. Meiosis, gamete formation and spore formation takes place by meiosis. Now 4 haploid and daughter cells are formed from one diploid, that is 2n. You get 4n from 2n. Then genetic recombination takes place and 4 daughter cells are genetically different from parents as well as from the daughter cells. So I hope whatever is being explained to you is understood to you. Meiosis part is not being explained in detail, but it will be explained to you with the help of the pictures later on. With the help of the pictures, okay? Have a great day.